Somewhere between the day you just lived and the sleep waiting to take you, there is a frequency. You won't find it on any dial. It doesn't broadcast on a schedule. It comes when the hour is late and the lights are low, and you are ready to go somewhere without leaving where you are. This is the midnight frequency. What follows are radio dramas, some set in the smoky, rain-soaked world of the old golden age, where private detectives walked dark streets and every shadow had a secret. Some take place closer to now, some venture further out, into times and places that haven't happened yet. All of them are original stories, written in the spirit of the programs that once kept the whole country listening in the dark. From this moment forward, there are no interruptions, no commercials, nothing to pull you back. If you found something here worth returning to, we'd be grateful for your support. The details are in the show notes, but that's for later. Right now, there is only the story. Get comfortable. Let it come.
The Wintanna Deep Space Tracking Facility sits on a limestone shelf 4 hours inland from anywhere that sells fuel, and it has been formally closed since the 14th of March, 2015. Formally closed is a phrase that does a great deal of work. It means the staff went home. It means the operating agreement lapsed and the science stopped and the name came off the network schedule. It does not mean anybody turned anything off. The decommissioning crew arrived on a Tuesday in the back half of winter, 3 men and a low loader and a plan that ran to 11 pages. The plan said the antenna would come down in reverse order of assembly, that the 70-ton counterweight would be cut into 4 sections, and that the site would be handed back to the pastoral lease inside 9 weeks. The plan did not say anything about the dish being warm.
Hollis, come here and tell me I am tired.
You are tired.
Look at the rim. Look at the horizon behind it, not the rim itself. Pick something on the ridgeline and watch the gap.
Gordon, that is moving.
It is moving. It has been moving since we got out of the truck, and I have been standing here for 11 minutes convincing myself it is not, and it is.
That is a 34-meter dish, Gordon. It does not drift. Something that size does not move at all unless a motor is turning, and a motor does not turn unless something is telling it what angle to be at.
I am aware.
And the site has no power. I checked the pole myself yesterday. The service drop is gone. There is no line into this place at all.
I am aware of that too. Get the torch. We are going into the pedestal.
The pedestal of a large tracking antenna is not a shed at the base of a tower. It is a building. The dish sits on top of it the way a hand sits on a wrist, and the 4 floors underneath hold the drives, the gearboxes, the hydraulics, and at the bottom, in a room with no windows and a door that seals, the control equipment. The door was closed. It had been closed for 11 years. When Pike put his shoulder to it and it gave, the air that came out was dry and cool and moving, which meant something in the room was still breathing.
There is a light on.
There are 40 lights on.
Gordon, the pole is dead. I am telling you the utility drop is physically not there. I photographed the stub.
Then something else is feeding this. Solar array on the south apron, maybe, if somebody ran it in before they left. Batteries in the vault. It does not actually matter this minute. What matters is that thing over our heads is pointed somewhere, and I would like to know where.
Station Wintanna, Antenna 1, tracking, program source, local file, elapsed time on current program, 4,011 days, 6 hours, 19 minutes.
It talks.
It has been talking to an empty room for 11 years. Ask it something.
Hollis had operated antennas before, though smaller ones, and the interface in front of him was older than his career and built for people who were expected to already know. He found the status page in the way you find a light switch in a house you have never been in, by putting his hand where it ought to be.
It is holding on a fixed point. Right ascension and declination, not azimuth and elevation, which means whatever it is looking at is out there and not up there, if that distinction makes sense.
It does not.
It means it is tracking something in the sky rather than something on the ground. The Earth turns underneath it, and the antenna turns to compensate. That is why it looks like drift. It is not drifting. It is standing still relative to space.
And what is it standing still on?
That is the part I do not like. I have the catalog up. There is nothing at those coordinates. Not a spacecraft, not a probe, not a star bright enough to bother with. The nearest catalogued object is about 2 minutes of arc off.
How much is 2 minutes of arc?
Very little. Roughly 1/15 of the width of the moon. Close enough that if you told me somebody had aimed at that object by hand, I would believe you. Far enough that a machine tracking that object would never sit here.
Signal present. Carrier. Receive power. Minus 178 decibels. Reference to 1 watt. Lock maintained.
It is receiving something.
Is that a lot?
It is almost nothing. It is a level you would normally throw away as an artifact of the receiver looking at itself. But it says lock maintained, and lock is not a guess. Lock means it has been following that carrier for long enough to know its frequency to a fraction of a hertz.
On the desk, under a sheet of clear plastic that somebody had cut neatly to size, there was a station logbook. The last handwritten entry was dated the 13th of March, 2015, the day before the closure. It was not a technical entry. Beside it, in a slot cut into the desk furniture for exactly this purpose, was an audio cartridge, and the machine that played it worked.
This is the evening log for the 13th. There is no science to record because there is no schedule to record it against, so I'm going to use this tape for something else, and I would ask whoever finds it to hear me out before they wipe it. I have loaded a tracking program into Antenna 1, and I have set it to run indefinitely. It is not on the network schedule, and it does not report anywhere, so it will not interfere with anything, and I have taken it off the load list so nobody has to explain it. The solar apron and the battery vault will carry the pedestal on their own, and I have derated the drives to a crawl so the gearboxes will last. I have calculated that it will hold for somewhere between 8 and 15 years, depending on the winters. The program is tracking Kestrel. I know what the record says about Kestrel. I helped write the record.
Kestrel was a small outer system probe. It was launched in the 1990s. It performed as designed for 2 decades, and in the summer of 2014, it was declared lost. The declaration was procedural. The spacecraft had missed 4 consecutive scheduled contacts. The reaction wheel budget was understood to be exhausted, and the estimate was that it had lost attitude control, and its high-gain antenna would no longer be pointed anywhere useful. Declared lost is another phrase that does a great deal of work.
What the record does not say is that on the 11th of February, 2015, at a shift change, on an antenna that was not scheduled and using time that was not allocated, I heard a carrier where Kestrel ought to be, not telemetry, not modulation, just a carrier, 31 decibels below what we would have called detection, present for 19 minutes and then gone. I reported it. It was assessed correctly as insufficient to reopen the mission. There was no funding to reopen the mission, and there was no antenna to spare. And I want to be clear that nobody did anything wrong. Every person in that decision was being reasonable, but the spacecraft is not gone. It is tumbling. That is why the carrier comes and goes, and that is why I have not put the program on the catalog position, because the catalog position assumes an attitude it does not have anymore. 2 minutes of arc off is where I keep finding it, so the antenna will listen. I am aware that this achieves nothing. Nobody is going to command it, nobody is going to recover it, and no data is being taken. I have thought about that a great deal, and I have decided I do not care. That thing worked for 22 years. It answered every single time anybody called it. Then it got old and it started to tumble. And the first time it could not answer properly, we stopped calling. Somebody should still be listening. It costs a building nobody wants and a dish nobody will use again. Wintanna, out.
There was a long stretch after the tape ended where neither man said anything. The drives made a sound like a slow breath being let out, and the dish above them moved perhaps 1/100th of a degree east, keeping still against the turning of the Earth.
The plan says 9 weeks.
The plan says a lot of things.
It says the drives come out in week 2.
Hollis, do me a favor and go and look at the battery vault. Not to write it up. Just tell me what state those cells are in and how many winters they have got left in them.
And if the answer is not many?
Then I suppose I will find out what a set of cells costs, and I will find out whether a man can put an unfunded item through a decommissioning budget by calling it site security.
That is fraud.
That is stationary.
The Wintanna facility remains formally closed. The pastoral lease was extended by mutual agreement, and the handback date has moved 4 times, each time for a reason that was documented and unremarkable and technically true. Antenna 1 is tracking. The program has been running for 4,011 days, and it holds a point in the southern sky that no catalog lists, 2 minutes of arc from where a small spacecraft is supposed to be and is not, and every so often, for 19 minutes at a stretch, a carrier arrives that is far too faint to mean anything. Lock maintained. You have been listening to the midnight frequency. It's later than you think.
This has been the midnight frequency. The studio goes dark now. Sleep well.